Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive. Today, we're going to be focusing on something a lot of you have requested, leadership development for nurse leaders.
Yeah. All right.
So to do that, we are diving deep into an article called
I love the deep dives.
Development, Unlocking Leadership Potential Through Reflection, Vision, and Coaching from the Leader's Compass series.
Yeah.
This article really digs into, I think, more than just like the skills, but it's like the why behind why development is so crucial. And it emphasizes that growth isn't optional, especially now in healthcare.
And that's where this deep dive, I think it's really interesting.
Right.
This article isn't just, like a basic leadership 101 course.
Right.
It really acknowledges the unique pressures that
Yeah.
nurse leaders face.
Yeah.
And it argues that development is actually the key to thriving in that environment.
So not just like, okay, I'm adding skills to my toolkit, but like, how do I become a more effective leader as a nurse
Absolutely.
within the specific context of healthcare?
Right. The article highlights three major benefits of focusing on development:
Okay.
clarifying your leadership identity, setting a clear direction, and building resilience.
Okay.
And these are all essential when you're leading a team, managing complex patient cases, and dealing with the ever-changing demands of healthcare.
Okay, those sound, fantastic in theory, but I'm
Yeah.
sure our listeners are like, well, how does this actually help me in my day-to-day?
Exactly. Let's take resilience, for example.
Yeah.
Think about a situation where you're dealing with a staffing shortage, you've got a difficult patient family that you're working with,
Mm-hmm.
a new regulation came down, all at the same time.
Yeah.
A nurse leader who is invested in their own development is going to be better equipped to handle that pressure, make clear decisions, and support their team.
So it's like having that inner strength to kind of navigate the chaos and come out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that leads to a more positive work environment for everyone.
So how does this article suggest that we actually develop these qualities? I'm assuming it's not just like wishing it into existence.
Definitely not. The article breaks down three core elements of leadership development:
Okay.
self-reflection tools, vision setting, and mentorship and coaching.
Okay, let's take those one by one.
Okay.
So starting with self-reflection tools.
Yeah.
What exactly are those?
So these can be anything from journaling to formal leadership assessments.
Yeah.
The goal is to just better understand your strengths, your weaknesses, and how you show up as a leader.
So it's like holding up a mirror to
Yeah.
your leadership style and being like, okay,
Exactly.
what's going on here? I can see how that could be helpful, but also like, man, that sounds time consuming.
The article suggests just starting small.
Okay.
Even dedicating just 15 minutes a day for reflection can make a difference.
Okay.
Imagine using that time to maybe debrief after a challenging interaction with a colleague. By reflecting on that situation, you might identify communication patterns that are contributing to the conflict or the stress.
So it's like using those small moments of reflection to uncover those maybe hidden patterns and really gain a deeper understanding of yourself as a leader.
Exactly. And that understanding can help you build stronger relationships, communicate more effectively, and ultimately lead with more confidence.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now let's move on to vision setting.
Okay.
What does that entail?
So vision setting, it's all about defining where you want to go as a leader
Okay.
and what impact you want to make.
Okay.
Think of it like creating a roadmap for your leadership journey.
Okay. A roadmap. I like that analogy.
Right.
Yeah.
The article suggests crafting a personal vision statement
Okay.
that aligns with your values and long-term goals.
Okay.
And it doesn't have to be, super complicated or lengthy.
Right.
The key is to create something that really resonates with you and reminds you of what you're striving for.
So not just setting goals for like your unit or your team, it's like your personal vision for
Exactly.
the kind of leader you want to be.
Yes. And when you have that clear vision, it becomes so much easier to prioritize, make tough decisions, and stay motivated, even when faced with challenges.
Okay, so we've covered self-reflection, vision setting.
Right.
Now let's talk about mentorship and coaching.
Okay.
And I feel like those terms are often used interchangeably, but I'm guessing there's a distinction here.
You're right, there is.
Okay.
Mentorship is about seeking guidance from someone more experienced,
Okay.
someone you admire in a leadership role.
So learning from someone who's
Yeah.
been there, done that,
Exactly.
but, is finding a good mentor, like, I feel like that's challenging sometimes,
It can be.
especially in a busy healthcare setting.
Yeah, but the benefits are worth the effort.
Oh, okay.
Think about the leaders in your organization or even outside of healthcare who inspire you. Reach out.
Okay.
Express your interest in learning from their experience.
So be bold. Make that connection.
Exactly.
I like it. Now, what about coaching?
Yeah, coaching is a little bit more structured and focused on specific goals.
Okay.
So a coach will help you identify blind spots, develop strategies for improvement, and hold you accountable for taking action.
So mentorship is like guidance and support, where coaching is more
Right.
actively working on your leadership skills.
Exactly. And while not every nurse leader has access to like a professional coach,
Right.
the article emphasizes that there are other ways to get that type of support,
Okay.
like maybe peer coaching or joining a professional development group.
So it's about being proactive and kind of finding the resources that work best for you.
Exactly.
Okay, that's great advice. Now, I'm sure our listeners are like, okay, so we talked about these core elements,
Right.
but how do they actually lead to like
Results.
results? So what
Yep.
are some of the outcomes that the article highlights?
So the article mentions 4 key outcomes that are particularly relevant for nurse leaders.
Okay.
Stronger self-awareness, which we already touched on, greater clarity, improved decision-making, and increased resilience.
Okay. Those are powerful outcomes, but can you give me like,
A real-world example of how one of those might play out.
sure, let's take improved decision making.
Uh,
Imagine you're a nurse leader and you're faced with a difficult staffing decision.
okay.
You need to decide whether to approve a request for time off, but you know that approving it is going to put a strain on the already short-staffed unit.
Yeah, that's tough.
It's a tough decision, one that many nurse leaders face regularly.
All the time.
Now, if you've been working on your decision-making skills through coaching or other development activities, you're going to be better equipped to approach this situation strategically.
Okay.
You might use, a decision-making framework to analyze the situation, gather input from your team, consider the potential consequences of each option, and ultimately make a decision that aligns with your values and the needs of the unit.
So instead of feeling overwhelmed and making a reactive decision,
Right.
you can step back, think about it,
Yeah.
approach it with more confidence and clarity.
Exactly. And that leads to better outcomes for everyone involved. That's a great example.
Yeah.
Now, I'm wondering, the article is like focused on the individual benefits,
Right.
but I feel like wouldn't this also have like a positive impact on the team
Absolutely.
and like the work environment as a whole?
That's one of the most compelling points the article makes.
Okay.
When a leader invests in their own development,
Yeah.
it creates a ripple effect that benefits everyone around them.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me more about this ripple effect.
Well, imagine a nurse leader who has gone through a process of self-reflection, vision setting, coaching. They are more self-aware, they have a clear sense of direction, and they are skilled at making thoughtful decisions.
Okay.
Now think about the impact they have on their team.
Okay.
They are able to inspire and motivate their team members, creating a more positive and supportive work environment.
So it's like a chain reaction.
Exactly.
Causativity.
And it doesn't stop there.
Okay.
When nurses feel supported and empowered, they're better able to provide compassionate and high-quality care to their patients.
So ultimately, like investing in leadership is about creating a more positive and effective healthcare system for everyone.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
And it leads us to a question the article poses at the end. What's one area of leadership development that resonates with you right now?
Oh, I love that. Ending with a call to action.
Right.
It's not just about absorbing information. It's like,
Yeah.
what do you actually do with it?
Right. And remember, it doesn't have to be this huge leap.
Right.
Start with something small, something manageable that you can incorporate into your daily routine.
So maybe it's blocking off 15 minutes on your calendar to reflect.
Yeah.
Or reaching out to a potential mentor.
Exactly.
Even those small actions can lead to, significant growth over time.
Absolutely. Key is to just start somewhere and make development a priority.
Okay, that's a great reminder.
Yeah.
Now, the article also teases the next installment in the series.
Yes,
It's on autonomy.
that's right.
So I'm curious, what does that word bring up for you in the context of leadership?
Well, for me, autonomy is about empowering yourself and others to make decisions
Okay.
with clarity, with confidence, and with, a deep understanding of the bigger picture.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this concept is particularly relevant for nurse leaders
Yeah.
who are often, on the front lines,
Right.
making critical decisions that impact patient care.
Yeah, that's a really interesting perspective.
Yeah.
I can't wait to dive into that topic in our next deep dive.
I know, me too.
But for now, I think we've given our listeners a lot to ponder.
Definitely. We've explored why development is so crucial for nurse leaders.
Yeah.
We've broken down the core elements that drive growth
Mm.
and even touched on the positive ripple effect that development can have on teams
Right.
and the entire healthcare system.
So what's next for you on your leadership journey?
Well, we can explore that more in part 2. Picking up where we left off, what's one area of leadership development that resonates with you right now? Maybe you're drawn to the idea of refining your vision as a leader, or perhaps you're feeling the need for some structured guidance through coaching.
Yeah. And it's all about just kind of figuring out where you are on your leadership journey and what that next step might look like for you.
Yeah.
But you don't have to tackle everything at once, right?
Right. The beauty of development is that it's an ongoing process.
Yeah.
You can choose one area to focus on, experiment, learn, and then, adjust your approach as you go.
So finding what works for you and your style and your specific needs as a leader.
Absolutely.
And speaking of specific needs, I think it's important to acknowledge that nurse leaders are facing, some pretty unique challenges these days.
Absolutely.
The healthcare landscape is constantly changing,
It is.
and nurse leaders are right there on the front lines, navigating those changes, while also leading their teams and ensuring quality patient care.
Yeah.
It's a demanding role, to say the least.
It is.
In fact, a recent study found that nearly 60% of nurse leaders report experiencing symptoms of burnout.
That's a staggering statistic.
Yeah.
And it highlights the importance of not only developing leadership skills, but also prioritizing well-being.
Yeah, it's not just about being like the most effective
Right.
leader, but it's like taking care of yourself as a person.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point.
And the article we're discussing today actually touches on that indirectly.
Okay.
Remember those 4 key outcomes of development we mentioned earlier?
Yeah.
Stronger self-awareness, greater clarity, improved decision-making, and increased resilience.
Yeah.
Well, each of these can actually play a role in mitigating burnout and promoting well-being.
It's like those leadership skills are also like life skills.
Exactly.
Right.
Let's take self-awareness, for example. A nurse leader who is self-aware understands their own stress triggers,
Okay.
their limits, and their coping mechanisms. And this self-knowledge can help them make conscious choices to protect their well-being, set boundaries, and avoid, overextending themselves.
So instead of pushing till they reach that breaking point, they're like, okay, I recognize these signs.
Exactly.
I need to take care of myself.
It's huge.
Yeah.
And then there's clarity.
Okay.
When you have a clear vision and well-defined goals, it's easier to prioritize, delegate effectively, and stay focused on what matters most.
Yeah.
This can reduce feelings of overwhelm and make the workload feel more manageable.
So moving from that state of chaos and reaction to like intention and purpose.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And that sense of purpose can be incredibly motivating and energizing, which is the opposite of burnout.
It's not just about avoiding burnout. It's like
Right.
cultivating well-being and finding joy in your leadership role.
Yes. And let's not forget about improved decision-making.
Okay.
When you have the skills and confidence to make tough decisions, you're less likely to second-guess yourself or feel burdened by the weight of those decisions.
It's like trusting your judgment.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there's resilience.
Okay.
The ability to bounce back from setbacks, navigate challenges, maintain a positive outlook.
Yeah.
Essential for any leader,
Right.
but especially those in demanding roles like nursing.
And all of those qualities can be developed through
Right.
the practices that we've been discussing.
Right.
The reflection, the vision setting, the mentorship, the coaching.
Absolutely. And here's another interesting point to consider.
Okay.
The article focuses on the benefits for the individual leader. But as we mentioned earlier, these benefits extend far beyond the individual.
Yeah.
They create a ripple effect that impacts the entire team and the organization as a whole.
Okay. I'm really intrigued by this idea of a ripple effect.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit more?
Well, imagine a unit where the nurse leader is modeling these qualities.
Okay.
Self-awareness, clarity, decisiveness, resilience. What do you think the impacts would be on the nurses on that unit?
I mean, I would imagine that they would feel more supported, more empowered, more motivated to do their best work.
Exactly. When a leader prioritizes their own development and well-being, it creates a more positive and supportive work environment for everyone.
Yeah.
And that can have a direct impact on patient care.
That makes sense. When nurses feel valued and empowered, they're better able to provide compassionate and high-quality care to their patients.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And that brings us back to that teaser from the article about autonomy.
Yes.
The idea of empowering leaders to make impactful decisions with clarity and confidence.
Yeah, I'm curious to hear more about how this concept of autonomy connects to what we've been discussing.
Well, I think autonomy is a natural outcome of the development process.
Okay.
When you invest in self-reflection, vision setting, mentorship, coaching, you gain a deeper understanding of yourself as a leader,
Yeah.
your values, your strengths, your goals.
So you're building that foundation of self-awareness
Right.
and clarity that allows you to make decisions, with confidence
Because-
and conviction.
And when you feel empowered to make decisions,
Yeah.
you're more likely to take ownership of your work, be proactive, and find creative solutions to challenges.
Well, so it's that shift, right, from reactivity to
Right.
agency and influence.
Exactly. And that sense of agency is contagious.
Okay.
When a leader embodies autonomy,
Yeah.
it inspires their team to step up, take ownership, and contribute their ideas.
So it's not just the leader making decisions on their own. It's
Right.
how do you empower the entire team to be more autonomous?
Right. It's about creating a culture where everyone feels valued,
Mhm.
respected,
Yeah.
and trusted to make decisions within their scope of practice.
And that leads to greater engagement,
Yes.
job satisfaction,
Absolutely.
and ultimately better patient outcomes.
Absolutely. Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about how this all plays out in the real world.
Okay.
How can a nurse leader actually put these concepts into practice?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
The article doesn't provide a step-by-step guide or anything,
Right.
but it does offer some practical suggestions.
And I think the most important takeaway is that
Yeah.
development is a journey, not a destination.
Okay.
It's about making a commitment to continuous growth
Mm-hmm.
and finding what works best for you.
So no one-size-fits-all approach.
Exactly. But there are certain practices that can be incredibly valuable,
Okay.
regardless of your leadership style
Mm-hmm.
or your specific goals.
Give me some specific things that nurse leaders can start doing today to kind of,
Well, as we've already discussed,
Yeah.
dedicating even a small amount of time each day to reflection can make a huge difference.
yeah. So even just jotting down your thoughts in a journal or doing a guided reflection exercise, something like that.
Yeah. Right? And don't underestimate the power of connecting with others.
Yeah.
Seek out mentors,
Mm-hmm.
join professional development groups,
Okay.
or simply just have conversations with colleagues who inspire you.
Yeah, those connections are so valuable.
Yeah, they can provide support, guidance, fresh perspectives.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And if you're looking for more structured development opportunities,
Yeah.
explore coaching programs or leadership workshops that are tailored to the specific needs of nurse leaders.
There's so many resources available, both in healthcare organizations and also
Yeah.
through professional associations.
Yeah, it's about being proactive and seeking out those opportunities that align with your goals and interests.
And remembering that it's not a one-time event. It's
Right.
a continuous process.
It's about cultivating those habits of self-reflection, continuous learning, and seeking out support and guidance when you need it.
And it's about recognizing that investing in your own development isn't selfish. It's actually one of the most generous things you can do for yourself and for your team.
Beautifully said. Now, I'm curious to hear what's resonating with you.
Yeah.
Thinking about everything we've discussed so far, what's one specific area of leadership development that you feel drawn to explore further?
Oh, that's a great question.
Yeah.
And I think that's one that, our listener might be pondering as well.
Right. And maybe in part 3, we can reflect a little bit more on that question and share some of our own personal experiences with leadership development.
So, as we've been discussing leadership development and its impact on nurse leaders, I've been thinking a lot about my own journey.
Yeah.
And I think what really stands out to me is how much my own definition of leadership has evolved over time.
I think that's a common experience.
Yeah.
We often start with these, preconceived notions of what it means to be a leader.
Mm-hmm.
But as we gain experience, as we engage in development activities,
Yeah.
our understanding deepens and becomes more nuanced.
Right. For me, it's been about letting go of the idea that leadership is about having all the answers
Mm-hmm.
and always being in control.
Yeah.
And instead, I've learned that it's more about empowering others,
Yeah.
creating space for collaboration,
Mhm.
and being comfortable with vulnerability.
That's a powerful shift.
Yeah.
And I think it speaks to the idea of autonomy that we've been discussing.
Yeah.
True autonomy isn't about isolating yourself as a leader. It's about recognizing the collective wisdom and strength of your team
Yeah.
and creating an environment where everyone feels empowered to contribute.
I love that perspective. It's leadership isn't a solo act.
Right.
It's a symphony
Yeah,
of diverse voices and perspectives.
exactly. And that brings me back to the article's focus on making impactful decisions
Mm-hmm.
with clarity and confidence.
Yeah.
When you have a team that feels empowered and autonomous,
Mm.
those decisions are richer, more informed, and ultimately more effective
It's like tapping into that collective intelligence. Yeah,
of the group.
absolutely.
And I imagine it also leads to just like greater buy-in
Yes,
and commitment from, team members.
absolutely. When people feel like they're part of the decision-making process,
Yeah.
they're more likely to be invested in the outcome.
That makes sense. Now I'm wondering, thinking back on your own leadership journey,
Yeah.
what's one specific experience that kind of stands out as a turning point in your development?
Oh, that's a great question. One experience that comes to mind is when I was faced with a particularly challenging situation early in my leadership career.
Oh,
There was a conflict within the team
okay.
that was impacting morale and patient care.
That sounds like a really tough spot to be in.
It was, yeah.
So what did you do?
At first, I, relied on my training
Hmm.
and tried to implement a solution based on what I thought I should do,
Okay.
but it wasn't working. I
Yeah.
felt stuck, and the situation was only getting worse.
I can relate to that, like that feeling of being stuck
Yeah.
in a leadership rut. Totally.
So how did you turn things around?
I reached out to a mentor,
Okay.
um, a seasoned nurse leader who I deeply admired,
Mm-hmm.
and she encouraged me to take a step back
Okay.
to reflect on my own leadership style
Yeah.
and to consider, the unique dynamics of the team.
So she helped you kind of shift your perspective a little bit.
She did. She also encouraged me to tap into the collective wisdom of the team,
Okay.
to involve them in the solution-finding process.
That's a great example of how mentorship can be so valuable.
Yeah.
It's having someone there who can offer that guidance and that support, especially when you're feeling
Yes,
lost or unsure.
totally. And the outcome in this case was incredible.
Okay.
By involving the team, we were able to come up with a really creative solution that addressed the root cause of the conflict
Wow.
and created a more positive and collaborative work environment.
That's a really powerful story.
Yeah.
And it just highlights how crucial it is for leaders to, you know, embrace that vulnerability and be
Yes.
willing to ask for help.
It also demonstrates the power of embracing autonomy, both for yourself as a leader and for your team.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into leadership development for nurse leaders, what's one key takeaway that you hope our listener will carry with them?
If I had to choose just one, it would be this. Development is a journey, not a destination.
I love that.
Embrace the process,
Yeah.
be patient with yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and never stop learning and growing.
It's about cultivating that mindset of continuous improvement.
Yes.
Both for yourself and your team.
Exactly. And remember, you don't have to do it alone.
Right.
Seek out mentors, connect with colleagues, and explore the wealth of resources that are available to support your leadership development.
So to our listener out there, wherever you are on your leadership journey, know that you have the potential to become an exceptional leader.
Yes.
Embrace the challenges, invest in your growth, and never underestimate the impact that you can make.
And as always, keep leading with purpose, clarity, and a healthy dose of autonomy.
Until next time.